Hi there, my name's Steve Sutcliffe and welcome to Tyre Seeker. So in this test we've got two brand new EV specific tyres to try and one Polestar 2 to test them with. So let's get cracking.
The premium EV tyre we're testing is the Michelin e.Primacy. The mid-range is the Hankook Ventus Ion S, both of which we sourced via an independent retailer for complete neutrality. Our test car is a front-wheel drive Polestar 2 and the ambient temperature was between 15 and 19 degrees C. Right then, wet handling track first. Let's see how a premium EV tyre from Michelin compares with a new mid-ranger from Hankook.
On the Hankooks, the Polestar 2 feels cracking. If anything, it feels even better, even sharper, even quicker, even safer and more precise than it does on its original equipment tyres. Absolutely gobsmacking how good the Hankooks are on this car around this track. Under brakes, on turning, for traction, mid-corner balance, everything. It just almost feels like it's on rails, this car. That's pretty extraordinary. What's possibly more extraordinary still is the waywardness of this car with the Michelins fitted. It's just got nowhere near as much grip mid-corner like this. It's got nowhere near as much stability under brakes. I'm having to brake several meters sooner into any corner in order to not instantly engage the anti-lock system with the Michelin fitted. And then when I turn in, I can feel the weight of the car at the back and it wants to oversteer a little bit. And then if I want to try and get some traction, some acceleration on the way out of the corner, I've got to be much more patient with the throttle, because this Polestar 2 has got a lot of poke out of slow corners. But with the Hankooks fitted, it just goes. It puts it all down on the road and it goes. With the Michelin's fitted, I'm having to be very patient, very circumspect. Bottom line is, on a wet road, not just a wet track, a wet road, the Hankook murders the Michelin. End of story. Right, let's go to the dry track and see what happens there, because the Michelin has got a lot of ground to make up. Before we do that though, here's a little bit more about our sponsors at e-Tyres. So our sponsors at e-Tyres are basically great, and that's not just because they give us the money to make these videos and have fun at test tracks and decide which tyres are good and which tyres are not good. They're great because they sell tyres at the best prices that you will find anywhere on the internet. And they don't care, there's no bias, they don't care who wins or loses or doesn't do very well in our group tests, because they sell all the tyres in all our tests. You get the best prices that you will find for any tyres anywhere on the internet, pretty much guaranteed. So check them out, etyres.co.uk. Right, back to the tyre testing. So, dry track with our two EV tyres on this Polestar 2. As you'd expect, and as you'd hope, the Michelin comes right back into its own on the dry track, in as much as it makes the Polestar 2 feel very much like it does on its original equipment tyres. Loads of bite at the front, really good bite under brakes, lots of traction, lovely balance mid-corner with the Michelin on. Just the genius that is at the very much obviously at the centre of the Polestar 2 basically bursts forth when you put the Michelins on around a dry track. But then here's the big news. It does too when you put the Hankooks on. The Hankooks are really good in the dry. They've got just as much raw pace as the Michelin's in the dry, but I think, if anything, I actually think I prefer the Hankook Ion in the dry. I mean, it's night and day better in the wet, but I think I prefer it just the way it feels in the dry too, because it just feels like a slightly softer, more compliant tyre to me. So I can just lean on this Polestar that little bit harder without it feeling like it's on the edge. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's on the edge anywhere, anything like on the Michelins, but it's just that little bit better, that little bit more confidence inspiring on the Hankooks. Conclusion, The Hankook Ventus Ion EV specific tyre is a blindingly good tyre, and honestly, I don't reckon it matters whether you put it on an EV or not. It's obviously designed to work best with the weight of an EV, but they've reduced the rolling resistance, obviously to make it a more efficient tyre. But my goodness me, you don't lose any of the natural basic performance in the wet or in the dry with the Hankook. Cracking tyre is the Hankook. Slightly iffy tyre in the wet is the Michelin, but very good tyre in the dry. Overall conclusion though, Hankook 1, Michelin 0.
We drove and timed both our EV tyres around the wet and dry handling circuits at Mara and rated them for braking at the same time. And as you can see, in the wet, the Hankook was almost 5 seconds quicker and stopped way better than the Michelin. While in the dry, the gap between them was almost non-existent in data terms. So although data isn't everything when it comes to working out who makes the best EV tyre out of Michelin and Hankook, in this case, it's hard to ignore. Fact is, the Hankook outperforms the Michelin dramatically in the wet, yet is every bit as good as the e.Primacy in the dry. Conclusion, the Hankook wins, and not just on price.
Cheers for watching. Remember to subscribe if you like this video, and see you next time.